Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Thank you very much for watching this channel. I'm going to talk today about the futility of prison and how it manages to destroy people's lives, how it actually works contrary to the expectations of the people that put you in prison, and it actually creates problems for society. And as evidence of this, as good, it's fictional, but it's a brilliant series. Watch Time on BBC television. It's Time, Time. Watch the first series. You'll see that a very ordinary, decent kind of prison officer gets corrupted by the criminals who are in there, hardened practice criminals, people who are living their lives in the prison system. And they managed to corrupt this prison officer, played by a man called Stephen Graham, who plays a brilliant part, by the way. And then the second series shows of the futility of locking people up, because it puts a single mother with two children into prison for, stated in the fictional series, of course, she's supposedly been fiddling the electric meter. I mean, if you're virtually on your backside and you haven't got tuppence to rub together, and you do that, you're not doing it because you enjoy fiddling the electric. You're doing something like that because you virtually have no way to put food on the table for your children. So it's a brilliant series. Now let's talk about the futility of prison. Yeah, because I've seen people getting into prison. First time in prison, you're supposed to be a shock. But if you're put in prison for something like not paying your rates, or not paying your TV license, or some offence against the bylaws, or not paying a fine, and you've previously been living a normal, reasonable, law-abiding life, and you suddenly find yourself in that kind of trouble and you end up in prison, then it twists you forever. The big problem is that once you've been in prison, it's very difficult to actually rehabilitate. I noticed that it's being stated now, I believe it's Suella Braverman, who seems to me to be clueless. Suella Braverman, absolutely, she should try a week in prison to sample it, because this is obviously what she's advocating for people who are homeless. Yeah, she's now stating that she's going to rid the city of London, in fact the Greater London, of all the beggars, all the people who are sleeping rough, all the people who are begging on the streets. She's going to get rid of them. Where's she going to put them? I mean, these people aren't living in cardboard boxes because they want to do. People are living in cardboard boxes because they haven't got a solution. And a lot of these people are mentally incapacitated. They don't have the ability to actually see their way and work their way through the system to actually get themselves into proper accommodation. And anyway, if you're in London, and let's say you're employed in London, unless you're earning 50,000 a year or more, you aren't going to find anywhere decent to live, because it's not available. I know people who are living in London who are paying £2,500 a month rent for a two-bedroomed flat. I mean, what kind of a world are we living in where you work all the time and 70% of your earnings are going on rent? There's nothing much left, is there? And it's at that point in time where people start to, I believe there's an uptake in shoplifting at the moment. People are walking into the shops, helping themselves and walking out. And it is my information, the security staff in the supermarkets are told if somebody walks out, just tell them, would you mind going back to pay for your goods? And if they say on your bike, you mustn't lay hands on them. You must not take any action other than to advise them to go back and pay. And if they don't, there's no point in ringing the police, because the police will not turn out for shoplifting. Believe that or not. The police don't do it. They ask how much was the goods worth. About 80 quid, something like that, you know. Oh, it's not worth us coming out. They won't come out for less than a few £100. So we've actually, society has lost the plot. And they're putting people in prison, ruining their lives. But I believe there's going to be a new regulation where people do no longer have to declare that they have been in prison after a certain period of time. So say you've done, 18 months for grievous bodily harm or something like that. You come out of prison and 3 years later you don't have to advise anybody that you've done time for GBH or whatever. That puts the employers in a rather invidious position and could potentially endanger other members of staff. But nobody's thinking this through, are they? I mean, don't forget, we've got a think tank there that's consisting of people with degrees and master's degrees in psychology and criminology. They've studied it at university. I'll tell you where they do want to study it: on the landings at Wormwood Scrubs, or down the block at Strangeways. Get yourself a couple of weeks down there and see how you feel about it then. See how it works out. I mean, you know how it works on paper. Get yourself a big set of keys. Get yourself plodding up and down the landings, day and night. 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. When I worked at Strangeways, they had shifts that were 14 hours. It just beggars belief when you think about it. 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And the Prison Officers Association, the so-called trade union, oh, that's all right. And you weren't getting paid for 14 hours, you're getting paid for 12 3/4. So you were virtually doing an hour and a quarter for nothing. Anyway, I am now going to read you a poem. Oh, by the way, don't forget to have a look at my interview with James English. I'll put a link down there. And if you would also like and subscribe, it's very kind, yeah. But you can get a link to my interview with James English, which runs for almost 2 hours, actually. It ran for a lot longer than I thought it did. Anyway, I'm now going to read you, not all of the poem, but some of the poem. This is one of my favourite poems. Very atmospheric poem, this, by T.S. Eliot. Terence Staines Eliot. This is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Yeah, you have to excuse while I get the light right so I can see the actual damn page. Otherwise, no reading, you see. Mm-hmm. The love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let us go, then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed, there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounted firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? That's the first few verses of The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The link to the James English is down there. Thank you very much, folks. Tales from the jails.